What followed with the jury verdict in the Rodney King case was a tragic series of events for the city of Los Angeles.
I can see the light on the other side. Everything's gonna be just fine with a little more time. Crazy out there.
We did a comedy called Man Up, and I produced a documentary called Twinsters, and then this is our third film. So I just helped develop it, and we produced it, and then we brought Alex on board to save my life.
Yeah, I mean, I came aboard like about a year ago, and it was amazing. It was a great experience. In terms of what we did, we pretty much did everything to make the movie happen. Like we had a limited crew, so we had to wear many hats. He also AD'd, I also production managed and did accounting and stuff, so it was a lot of fun.
And this is Ben Munoz, who played Jesus in the film.
So James, before the film, you talked about how for Justin this was a really personal project, and I mean, I remember I lived 10 minutes away from Paramount. I remember the smoke. It's a very personal film for me. I'm curious, like, do any of you have a personal connection with the events in the film?
Well, absolutely. I was living in San Francisco at the time, and I grew up in Lakeview, San Francisco, which is a predominantly African-American neighborhood. So a lot of the experiences that you see Eli and Daniel go through in the film are things I went through every day of my childhood myself. And not just myself, but a whole peer group of people. I'm 41, Justin's 36. So we kind of, our age group we knew a lot of people from Oakland, San Francisco, Westminster, Torrance, Gardena, where there's Cape Town, where there was Asian kids who grew up in the hood, basically, and our families owned businesses in the hood, and we just tried to get by. So this is, we were kind of this weird kind of mixed generation where our parents were immigrants, we were in the hood, we spoke English, we spoke well, but we weren't like model citizens, we were in the mix, in our elements, and just trying to get by. And so he and I, we both felt like there's this, we represent a whole demographic of Asian Americans that are never represented in films. We're streetwise, we're smart, we're American, yet we're ostracized by our parents' generation and by mainstream society. So, but we made our own niche. Out of us came what is now, Far East Indian, Dumbfounded, all the hip hop, Korean, Asian hip hop and groups that are coming out. They came from that generation, right? We were influenced by all the things around us then. So for us, this is a very personal film. This is almost autobiographical for us in a way. And so yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to rep something that is not wanted or properly represented by mainstream media.
Alex, no, add anything?
For me, I'm a little bit younger than both of them, so I was like a baby once the riots came out. But for me, like my experience with the riots, it was more what I heard and what I saw, like the rifles and people on top. But then when Justin sent me the script, it's so much more than those experiences that you see like in the documentaries. Like this is why this story is so important, because it's like the actual, some actual like real people and real characters and like their experiences through the riots.
Yeah, I like to, even though that it's marketed and promoted as a film about the LA riots, I don't really feel it's a film about the LA riots. The LA riots is the backdrop. There's a story about the Korean and African American community, the family and the people who lived in the neighborhoods and worked together side by side, didn't know each other, struggled, lived side by side, and yet didn't support each other. There's a whole different story that's in the backdrop of the LA riots. And so the LA riots, what it gave us is, it gave us a time, a place, a dynamics something for us to really tell the story. You know, a lot of things that happen in the store are stories and things that would happen over years of time, right? These are little stories and nuances and interactions with customers that would happen over years. But because we put in the backdrop of the LA riots, we put this time pressure. So we were able to jam-pack this one day with all kinds of stuff that normally would happen in the store over a couple year period of time. So the LA riots is important for the filmmaking aspect to place it in time and place and give it an era. And then give us the backdrop to talk about society, talk about family, talk about social justice, and the element that we did without talking about it. You know what I mean?
Yes, I mean, it's not just kind of Korean and Black story, but also the Latino community is there, is present as well. And Jesus' character, I think, is a kind of a wonderful kind of a outsider of the main conflict, but becomes something like a moral anchor that we can hold on to as well. I don't know, Ben, if you want to talk about your memories of 1992 as well as your experience working on the film.
Sure, and thank you all. It was an amazing adventure on set and playing Jesus. I grew up during that era. I have a lot of moments that when we're on set thinking about what had transpired during that time. But my character was really weird for me at first. You know, and but we improvised, and it's like, you know what, let's try this, let's try that, and it's like, oh, okay, all right, you know, with my Run DMC pants on, my pump shoes, you know. So yeah, it was my era, and it was just great. The team was amazing. I've worked on several sets, and these guys just, they knocked it out the park. I'm really, truthfully honored to be a part of this project. Thank you.
Speaking of actors, can we talk about Justin's dad?
Yes.
So you want to tell the audience about Justin's dad, Justin Chon's dad?
Yeah, if you don't know, Mr. Kim, the liquor store owner, is Justin's actual dad. Yeah. So apparently he was like a child actor growing up. Justin calls him the Macaulay Culkin of Korea in the 1960s. But ever since they moved here, he hasn't acted in what, like 40 years. And Justin had to beg his dad
3 months.
3 months to beg him to do this role. Because his dad wears like a toupee and everything, but Justin's like, no, you're gonna have your real hair. You're not gonna wear a toupee. You're gonna come to set. I think when Justin first told us that his dad would do it, he was like, oh, my dad doesn't want to work past a certain time, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, we'll see what happens. But
more than half the movie happened at nighttime.
Yeah.
We have to shoot at night.
Yeah, no, but he was, as you guys know, he was amazing in his part. So yeah, it was great.
Since so much of this was autobiographical for their family, did Justin's dad have input into his memories of what had happened?
Yeah, you know, almost all of Justin's dad's lines were improv. So Justin wrote the scenes, told his dad what the scenes are about, but didn't give him lines. And Justin's dad, basically based on what his experiences were and his interactions with customers, ad-libbed all of it. So he improv all his lines. Justin's dad still owned a shoe store. And so he had a warehouse full of 1990s stock stuff. And so 90%, that store we found was a former used car lot. And that building was completely run down, gutted, and empty. And so we basically ransacked Justin's dad's warehouse and built that shoe store from scratch. Our art department just killed it. And on a absolutely nothing shoestring budget. And so really and so Justin's dad, even like the first day of shooting, he came in and he like did a double take. And he's like, I'm in a time machine right now. And so, yeah, Justin's dad had a tremendous influence. Our production designer, Rocky, she actually talked to him, went to his other stores, went to the former Paramount Place warehouse with him, talked to him about the look. So Justin's dad had a lot of influence in what the store looked like, and it had a direct impact on the development of his own character.
So when we think about American history, like the moments in American history that really show how precarious the position of Asian Americans are between whiteness and blackness, you immediately think of 1992 and riots. I'm curious, what kind of conversations do you have about how you're going to depict the conflict between Korean and Black communities? Because I mean, it's so politically. It's awkward to talk about.
Yeah, it was a very, very prominent subject for us to, and something delicately we wanted to address. And the way we addressed it was by not addressing it. So we were like, let's not talk about the conflict. Let's not even talk about those things. Let's focus on the story. Let's focus on the characters. Let's focus on the relationships between the friends, the families, the customers. Let's show just a slice of life that we remember and how we lived, and just show it as is and be as authentic as possible, and let all the other elements that are around that time and around that era kind of fall into its place. You know what I mean? Like, without having to beat over the head on the drum, this film talks about Asian and Black conflict. It talks about Korean and Black people living in South Central, in K-Town, in Paramount, in all these neighborhoods together, without us being like, it's 1992 Paramount. There's Koreans on this corner, Blacks on this corner. You know, like, we don't have to do it that way, right? Like, so for us, we addressed it by making sure we didn't directly address it and focused on what we thought was more important, and that's the relationships and the people and the actual families in the community.
So how did the Camilla character come about?
So Camilla character was initially a boy. And during the development process and the kind of the brainstorming process, Justin was like, you know, it's just so much more powerful if we turn it into a girl. Like, especially for him, he's like, I've been in this industry for a long time, and the two least represented actors in film is Asian males and African American young women, right? So he's like, well, let's make an Asian male and a young African girl the leads of the film. And if you notice, there's no white people in the film. There's literally 3 white people in the film, and it's the 2 nurses and the doctor at the end of the movie. and most people don't even realize that there's no white people in the film, but this film is about the ghetto, and there's just not white people in the ghetto. So, you know, that's just the reality of it, and so that's just how it plays out, right? And so the Camilla character became this amazing antithesis where it takes on what we know about the neighborhood, but lets us present what we knew, what we grew up in a childlike manner, right? Through child innocence, right? Because everything else is so hard and so real. But Camilla gets to wear a flower in her hair. She gets to give this other element of beauty and softness out of this harsh world, right? So that's the Camilla character.
Hey everyone, my name is Justin Chon, and I'm an actor-director, and this summer I shot a film called Gook.
Yo, what does that even mean?
What? Oh, Gook?
No, it just means, in Korean, it just means country. My film is about 2 Korean American brothers trying to run their women's shoe store during the first day of the LA riots and their friendship with a neighborhood African American girl. We follow the brothers throughout the day as they run their business and show their daily interactions with customers and neighbors. It's just another typical day in the hood until the Rodney King verdict is read and all hell breaks loose. To give you guys some background, in 1992 there was an incident caught on camera where 4 police officers were captured brutally beating a man named Rodney King. The officers were acquitted of all charges, which caused an outrage in the communities and within hours led to huge riots in South Central. One of the casualties of the riots were Korean American businesses. During the time there were huge racial tension between Korean and African Americans. My family actually owned a shoe store that was located right across the bridge from East Compton, and by the last day of the riots, our store was completely looted and destroyed. Over the years, I've thought back on this time in my life because it was such a violent incident. Yet, 25 years later, we still deal with many of the same issues, and I just felt like this was a very appropriate time for this film. About half a year ago, I did an NBC op-ed talking about diversity based on a racist audition I experienced. One of the main points that I made was the only real power that we as artists have is to create. And this film is how I feel like I can contribute to the industry.
I can see the light on the other side. Everything's gonna be just fine with a little more time. Camilla!
So let's talk about the cast. What's interesting about this film is how diverse and unique the cast is. The 3 main leads are 2 Korean American brothers and an African American girl. My brother in the film is played by David So. He's most notably known for being a YouTube personality. One of the leads is also an 11-year-old African-American girl. During the casting process, we were fortunate enough to have help from the community, specifically the Fernando Pullum Art Center. This is where we found our lead, Simone Baker. Finding her was the most exciting part of this entire process. This experience has been tremendously rewarding, and I can't wait to share this film with everybody. But we've taken the film as far as we can take it. Making minority-centric films is extremely difficult. It's even more difficult to raise funding for them. The money that you guys donate will go into the post-production of the film. That includes music rights, composition, ADR, VFX, sound mixing, Foley, and final output. It would also go into marketing and film festival expenses. I really do believe this is an amazing film, and I really do need your guys' help to make this possible. If you could just look over the material and consider donating for this film and sharing this with your friends, I'd be just extremely, super duper, tremendously grateful.